Hello everyone, it's Brian with the Cost of Crypto. Thanks for joining. Today I'm going to be doing a sort of a history and educational episode tied up in one. What is a HYIP? In this I'm going to share the things that I've learned, hopefully so that you're better educated and that you don't make the same mistakes I do, because they were really stupid mistakes, but they were important lessons. So getting into our topic, what is a HYIP? A HYIP, HYIP, High Yield Investment Program. And it's a straight up scam. It is a literal Ponzi scheme. And for those of you who are not familiar or not clear on how a Ponzi scheme works, a Ponzi scheme is a program where whoever's running it takes money from initial investors. They have some sort of pitch where it's, if you invest your money, you're going to get some sort of return. And they usually guarantee some sort of return. And what they do is they don't actually invest in anything. They just take their money and produce false reports, make fake news, a complete fake front. And then they take money from subsequent investors, whatever they contribute, and use that money to become the profits for previous investors. So the Ponzi will continue as long as there's new money coming in. And eventually, when the Ponzi scheme dies, there are going to be people who are going to be left holding nothing, because usually what happens is the operators of the scheme take whatever funds they have and they literally skip town. As a point of reference, for anyone who wasn't aware, Ponzi was the name of a gentleman named Charles Ponzi who ran schemes back in late 1919 and into the 1920s. So there actually was, when saying it's a Ponzi scheme, it got named after him because he's the one that's made it famous. Other Ponzi schemes that we are aware of that are outside the crypto space would be when Bernie Madoff was pretty much caught red-handed in 2008, when the stock markets and equity markets went down the crapper and tanked. Those were investments that pretty much all the people that he invested in lost everything they had because they were fake profits. And the money he got was from noted celebrities. It was actors, politicians, real estate moguls. It was pretty much the people that you see in all the celebrity mags and on television where they talk about, oh, this actor or this person was doing that. In cryptos, Ponzi's come in the form of high yield investment programs. And the way it works is pretty much similar, where whoever's behind it has some sort of story of what their investments are. And usually what would happen is you would have an operator set up a site. They would have some sort of Discord channel, maybe a Twitter feed, to try and establish legitimacy. And then they'd also register a business in the United Kingdom, because the costs and the requirements to establish a corporation in the United Kingdom are lower than in any other European countries. So they would set up some sort of program where they would say, if you invest whatever, a certain amount of a crypto or a certain dollar amount, you will earn a certain set return or up to a set return within a certain time frame. So if I were setting one up, I would say, if you invest between $50 and $100, you will earn 3% a day for 30 days. If you keep it for 45 days, you'll earn 7% a day. And if you keep it invested for 90 days, you'll earn 10% a day. And in the end, you're not earning anything because it's not invested in anything. And how these people operate is that they use, like I said, the Discord channel, the Telegram channels, Twitter communications. They'll use email. They'll make videos. and they'll use the UK corporation to say, see, we're a legitimate organization, and this is our address. We even list an address. In 2017, there are 4 examples that I have of HYIPs that all exploded in people's faces. The first one was one called Control Finance. I'd probably been in the space for 3 or 4 months, and I saw this thing that people were talking about on different YouTube channels called Control Finance. And the whole story that they were selling, that the operators were selling, was that they take people's crypto, pool it together, invest it in different cryptocurrencies, and use it for trading. And then they will share their profits with it. So essentially, in return for giving them the funds to invest, they will share the fruits of their labor. They went so far as to have someone front and pretend to be their president and make some YouTube videos that was explaining how they operate. They produced these reports where they would show a chart the previous 2 weeks, and they draw circles on different points of the price graph saying, this is where we bought, this is where we sold, and they would produce fake numbers, at least as far as returns. I don't recall if they ever said what, I think they may have said what their total assets were, and whether that was genuine or not is completely up for debate. Eventually what happened was, which is what happens with everyone, they had a server issue. So they had to shut down for whatever it was, 12 hours, 24 hours, and said, hey, everyone, we're fine. They announced it on Twitter. We've got a server issue. We'll take care of it. Okay, everyone's confidence is back. They're back online. And then usually a couple weeks later or so, another server issue. Hey, we've got an issue. We'll get back to you. And they don't, because they've taken all the funds and they've run. And that was my first experience with a HYIP, because I had no idea that this was a scam. No one had shared this, didn't know it, and they had enough of a good front to make it look like that, oh, it's an actual business operation. The next one that I came across was BitPetit. BitPetit's scheme was that they ran a mixing service. And the idea of a mixing service was you could take, let's say, the Bitcoin from 10 different people. And the Bitcoin ledger is a public blockchain. So all the transactions of when Bitcoin goes from wallet A to wallet B is recorded and viewable at any time by anyone. Well, the idea is that you could take Bitcoin from 10 different addresses, mix them together, and then send it to new addresses so that no one knows. If someone were to audit the blockchain and try and figure out a trail, they wouldn't know that you would use this service and know that, oh yeah, in fact, I did get my 1 Bitcoin back, but it's under a new wallet address that's not traceable to me. So their whole scheme was, if you send us crypto, what we're doing is we're using that crypto to fund our operations, and the returns that we're promising for, I think it was a 45-day and either a 70 or 90-day term. The profits that we're saying you're going to get paid out are coming out of the income that we generate and charge for our mixing service. Well, on this one, there were, I think, 3 or 4 different cryptocurrencies. They started out with Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum, and they may have also taken Dash at a later point. They said, these are the cryptos that we'll take, and we'll pay you back in these particular cryptocurrencies. And I decided I'll take a chance on this. So I ended up going, I said, I'm going to go with the shorter term, see what happens. So I did that. After 40 days, I withdrew, got my crypto, at the gains that I said that I was supposed to get. And I think I invested the minimum amount, which may have been like $50 or $100 worth of Litecoin at the time. And then in November of that year, there was a YouTuber who He seemed, it surprised me that this guy would actually get sucked into something like this, but he did. He walked into this naive on what a HYIP was and said, "Hey, I'm getting in this, checking it out. If you want to join this, I've got a referral link. I'm not making you, but there's a referral in case you want to join in." Well, a lot of people, he's got influence where people trust what he says, so they all jumped in. And apparently, the amount of referrals he got took him to near the top of the list of total referrals. And within he got so much in referral, he got so much, earned so much in referrals that he held, like, a few days later, there's a trivia giveaway. And a few days after that, that's when BitPetit had their server issues, and they just said, bye-bye. I don't even know if they did a two-step deal. They just said, we're gone. And people were waiting and trying to get through to them. No one's responding to emails. Twitter's dead. The website's not working. And it's like, no, they're gone. It's a scam. And so he actually made good in one respect, where anyone who had a referral from him, he said, get in touch with me. Let me know your name. Let me know, whatever address you used for the referral. I'm going to take what I got from this and compensate you the best that I can for whatever you lost. So that was BitPetit. But before I go on, I want to take a brief pause with a word from our sponsor. Hello, everyone. I want to tell you about my favorite podcast tool. It's Anchor FM. It's got everything you need to make a podcast: recording function, sound clips, background music, transitions. You can upload your own audio files, and you can use Anchor's built-in editing tools to make a great podcast. Anchor will distribute your podcast among multiple platforms so that the more you grow, the greater your reach becomes. You can also monetize your episodes right off the bat, no minimum audience. You can get started making your podcast right from your phone or PC. So don't wait. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. And then there was another one. There's actually two more after this one. I decided to try this little one called whatever it was, presidential investments or something like that. I put in, maybe $15 worth of Bitcoin at the time. And when I tried to withdraw, no one got back to me with a request. So I put another request. Nothing happening. So I started trying to communicate with them, but it was talking to a brick wall. No one was getting back to me. What I should have done, and what I didn't quite have the gumption to do, was say, hey, give me my goddamn crypto. Otherwise, I'm going to make a video talking about this thing being a scam and plaster it all over online and threaten them. Well, they ended up shutting down, I don't know, like a month later. Whatever it was, I lost $15 worth of Bitcoin. And then the last one, there's two of them. One is Laser Online LLC and BitConnect. Laser Online LLC was very elaborate. They hired a guy, I think he was from one of the Eastern European countries. He was actually an actor. Like, afterwards, someone found his face online and go, oh, this guy's an actor. He does other videos too. They had this guy be the president of Laser Online LLC, and their whole shtick was, we have got these lasers that whatever is unique about them, and we're selling them to the military. It's a military application. And I don't remember what I didn't even touch this thing, because by that point, with BitPetit, the presidential one, and Control Finance, I recognized a HYIP. I knew a HYIP. I knew a scam when I could see one. I think their sales pitch was, if you invest crypto, we're using that to fund the business, and we're sharing percentages of our profits. And they got elaborate. They had the whole online portal. They had videos from the president saying these are things that we're doing, uh, you know, creating this whole narrative to make people believe it was legitimate business. Well, eventually people started questioning things. I remember watching one video where the address that was registered, I think it might have been, it was in the US for their US office. One guy drove by and it was basically just like a random doorway with a dark door, and guys asking people, "Hey, do you know anything about this business here? Do you know anything about it?" And it's sketchy as all hell. And it turned out that one did the double tap too. "Oh, we got some server issues. Don't worry, people. We'll get it fixed. Hey, we're back online." And then a few weeks later, website's down. And then the big granddaddy of them all was BitConnect. BitConnect was an investment program where it was a twofold thing. You invest Bitcoin and you earn 3% a month. A very modest and doable and believable 3% a month. And the way it worked was you would deposit Bitcoin in your BitConnect account. And then you would use that to buy BitConnect token. And then you would take your BitConnect and you could either stake it, which, and for anyone not familiar with staking, it's basically the idea that you lock up tokens, and in exchange for locking them up, it is part of how the network transactions get validated. So essentially, the more you stake, the more you would earn. It's almost like earning dividends on deposits in the bank. Think of it that way. So in exchange, you can either earn profits by staking BitConnect, or I forget what their other investment program was. It was very vague, like it was something like a trading platform or something like that, and you share in the profits of it. BitConnect became huge. And the reason it became huge was they had probably started with 3 or 4 or 5 tiers of referral income. And the way referrals work, that's a technique from what's called MLM, multi-level marketing. And the idea behind that is for every person you refer, like a direct referral, you will earn a percentage of their earnings. And for every person that one of your referrals refers, you're also going to get a percentage of their earnings. BitConnect, it was you get a percentage of their deposit at any point in time. And then if they refer someone, that person earns a percentage of whatever they deposit. And then you in turn would earn a percentage off of what they deposited. And so you'd have like this chain that every person that referred from someone that links back to you, you get a fraction of their deposits, and that's how you get additional income. Well, this seemed like a great idea. So what happened was people would go on YouTube and say, "Hey, I want to tell you about BitConnect. I checked this out. It's legitimate. Dude, I'm beginning 3% a month for 3 months. I can withdraw my funds. We're good." You had more and more people reaching out and referring and starting to actually earn money, get returns. And this creates a momentum, and it creates a narrative of legitimacy, which is what all these other HYIPs, Control Finance, BitPetit, Laser Online LLC, creates that narrative of legitimacy that helps drive it. And BitConnect just became so ungodbelievably huge. The crypto at one point had reached, in 2017, had reached, I know, top 20. It may have hit at a top 10 at some point as far as a token. Eventually, near the end of the bull market in 2017, what was happening was they were running out of steam and running out of new referrals. So they, at one point, they had extended the referral chain down to 9 tiers. So that means your referral plus any 8 referrals that directly connect back, you would get a percentage of whatever Bitcoin they deposited in their accounts. You know, they started out with 5, extended it to 7, stretched it out to 9. And then at the end, they had to simplify it and made it back to a 3-tier referral network. Then they set up a scam of BitConnect X, where, you know, we're going to make a new cryptocurrency. And by that point, there was already criticism bouncing around. I know that Cliff High and JSNP4, after BitPetit imploded, they were sounding the bell saying BitConnect is a scam. When you do the math, and I think BitSquare even jumped in on this, when you do the math, it's just not sustainable. It is not sustainable. You had all these people where it's, okay, you got people talking about it. You've got this event hosted by BitConnect, and you'd see people at different crypto shows, but you never saw the founders. You never saw the people behind this actually running the scenes. And I think they also had the usual, they had the UK business license. They had all the online communications tools and social media. They had the full menu of things to make this look legitimate. After they did their BitConnect X, where if someone invested in that, God bless them, because that one was straight up, I mean, just an exit scam where they can get a little bit extra money and then they pull the plug. And when they pulled the plug, it made news everywhere. I don't remember. The prices were collapsing, I think, in the general market. And that was another element that was sketchy about it, was there were only 2 exchanges outside of the BitConnect platform where you could trade it. One of them was HYIP. It was HYIP and it was another exchange. But those were the only exchanges you could trade BitConnect on outside of the BitConnect platform. So that was another questionable red flag going up. Other cracks were appearing where no one had ever seen the founders. BitConnect, they hosted a big meeting in, I think it was Thailand, either Thailand or the Philippines. I think it was Thailand. And you had all these people on stage talking about BitConnect, because as soon as BitConnect collapsed, all of a sudden, YouTube channel changes, shut down, closed, videos deleted, or at least taken off the platform, you know, out of public view. And then Trevon James, who he's still doing crypto today, but his thing was he was big in crypto in, I don't know if it was in 16, but definitely 17, where it's trying different stuff. He had popular channels, and when he fell on BitConnect, same thing. Oh man, check it out. And then he ends up promoting it, and he gets a ton in referral fees. And the final one, which this one, Craig Grant, if you were on YouTube in 2017, there is about, if you watched any crypto related video, there is about a 100% chance you saw his videos where he'd be in a hotel or someplace. He'd have this widescreen TV in the background behind him. It would have an Exodus wallet open, a Bitcoin one, and it would say, "My name is Craig Grant." And he'd point over his shoulder, and this is my BitConnect wallet. That ad, he ran that ad so many places, and he earned a crap ton from it as well. I mean, it was just ridiculous, the amount. It was tens of thousands of dollars in referral earnings. Again, it added another layer of legitimacy to the narrative. Well, Craig and Trayvon are still doing their things today, albeit they're not as much of a high flyers. It's almost like they're doing average everyday stuff. And then Crypto Nick, haven't heard anything from that guy. He's been, I don't know, absent from the scene. So he's probably thinking, no point putting my face out there because all I'm going to do is draw criticism and flack from a lot of ticked off people. And so that is the general idea of a HYIP, where there's a pitch for what the business or the scheme is. There's some sort of promised returns. at some sort of rate in some sort of time reference. There's usually a UK business license or UK license of incorporation. There's the online media. There's usually some sort of portal for the website where you can track all your earnings. There's some sort of referral scheme. And then they just start with the narrative and see what happens. And that's the base. Afterwards, there were still several investment platforms that hadn't exploded and shut down yet. Eventually those did. In the bear market, it pretty much killed everything. So that was their demise. And then today, there are some people who get involved in high yield investment programs because they understand it's a scam. They understand that to jump into it, it's a burning match. And that some of the operators are less scammy than others. There's some sites I know that I've come across in the past that track HYIPs to find out which ones are, quote unquote, more legitimate based on their duration and other promises that they fulfill that they have made. But in the end, like I just said, it's a burning match. And plus, you may get nothing in return. You just might get completely shut out. So what is a high yield investment program? It is an outright scam. Completely stay away from them. I read a quote once where it said that smart people learn from their mistakes. Wise people learn from other people's mistakes. So be a wise person and learn the lessons that I got from my mistakes. Question it. Question it hard. If they're selling some sort of term concept, question it. Question it hard. And look for the other flags. Where is it incorporated? What are they doing? Are there actual people showing their faces in front of it? Question these things, because that's one of the rules in the crypto space. Don't trust, verify. If you see something that promises a certain set returns and it's not staking, and that includes pretty much any project, don't trust. Well, that about wraps up this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and I especially hope you learned something from it. I love telling old stories from days past and lessons learned, especially if it's something that is useful like this to help you not make mistakes, not lose money, lose crypto, and not have to feel like a fool in the process. As always, you can follow The Cost of Crypto. I'll eventually have a Twitter account set up for it, but in the meantime, you can follow it at TINYCRYPTOBLOG.com, on Twitter, TinyCryptoBlog, Facebook, TinyCryptoBlog, as well as video channels on YouTube, Brighteon, Odyssey/Library, and BitChute. And if you have any comments, questions, or suggestions for future topics I should talk about, feel free to drop me a line. Send it to hello@tinycryptoblog.com. And with that, be well, everyone. Talk to you soon.